So, good evening. Tonight is Wednesday, November the 19th. And this is Management 3025, and this is in fact our last class get-together before the final. Right? And the final exam is when?
December 3rd.
December 3rd, Wednesday. I guess we'll be meeting right here, as per usual, right? We were in P260. P, yeah, we'll be over in the P building somewhere. Check the announcements, and I'll post another announcement to remind you for sure where and when. We'll take care of that. And we're going to look at the sample questions we posted to Canvas and see if we can work through a few of those just for the mathematical exercise. Okay? So if you would, to begin with, someone just read me the first question, or if there's a particular question you wanted to start with. Go ahead.
Yeah, number one.
Number
It's
one?
a lot. Basically it's
You want a copy of mine?
Yeah, do you just
I
want a
can
copy
share
of
it
it?
with
You got an extra, that would take all the
I was gonna
challenge
say,
out.
it's a
You
lot.
can, her and I, she made a copy too, so you can use mine and I'll share with her.
Question number one. You have a company called Circumspect that produces a home sentry system, easily installed by the homeowner, that they can produce and ship for a cost, be sure I'm being visible here, for a cost of $214 per unit.
You probably have to focus it.
It's really blurry. It's normally is it that way?
That's not blurry.
Yeah.
It is real blurry. Let's see what we can do with it. That good? I think we just focused on something different. Okay, so the cost is $214 a unit. What other term should come to mind when you see that $214? What kind of cost is it? That's your variable cost. You don't build one, you don't have the cost. You build one, you got the cost. It varies with how many you build. They have fixed cost that was variable. You have fixed cost of $11,000 a month. So it looks like in this case they're going to ask us to do stuff on a monthly basis. The company believes it can basically sell this thing for $995. So a price, $995. And it's also considering a different strategy when it would set the price at a lower level of $495. So we've got two different considerations to play with. And it wants to make profit, ideally, of $4,000 a month. So that's, I think, the basic information. Calculate the break-even level of sales to include profit at each of these prices. So let's start there. Break-even, again, conceptually. Break-even to include profit. I stands for profit. If they're selling at $995, and it cost them $214 a unit, that's $781 left over, right? Every time they sell one. Every time they sell one, they make $781. What do we call that?
Profit contribution.
The contribution margin. The contribution margin. That's the price minus the variable cost. Is the contribution margin. Sometimes people want to say that's my profit for every unit I sell. Not quite profit, because you still have to pay fixed costs. But our break-even formula is going to be fixed costs divided by contribution margin. So in order to cover not just 11,000 but also profit, right? I've got to have enough money to pay $15,000 when I make $781 every time I sell a unit. So how many units is that?
19.21.
19.21. Since we can't sell part of a unit, then we need to sell 20 units. Does that sound right? Sound pretty good to me. Okay, break-even level of sales. How many have we got to sell? We've either got to sell 20 of them at $995 price, or let's look at the other alternative over here. If we sell them for $495, they cost us $214. Whoops. Don't mess up your public school math. Got a $281 contribution. You okay with that? I still want to make my $15,000. I'll divide it by 281. And how many units do I have to sell now? 54? Was it 53 and change and you rounded up? Is that correct? So now I need to sell 54 units if I'm selling them at $495 a piece. So that's kind of our first set of answers. Questions so far? Anybody? Which price would you choose? It depends on the market you're going to sell to, because now we have shifted with that question. We've shifted from financial calculations to marketing contemplations, if you will. If you're going to sell it at $995,
$19,900.
you may be selling it to a whole different crowd than the people that are willing to sell it over here. And if you're going to sell it to this crowd, how characteristically do you think they differ, the two crowds, the two markets? These people are typically going to be more concerned with security and have deeper pockets. What are deeper pockets? More money. Where might we find them?
Bigger cities and nicer neighborhoods.
Bigger cities and nicer neighborhoods. And maybe not even bigger cities. You can go to many small towns in this country and look just outside downtown and find some very nice homes. So we'd have to turn our marketing people loose and say, what are the markets like out there? How do we communicate them? How do we identify them? How do we communicate with them? That is, what kind of TV shows do they watch? What kind of music do they listen to? What kind of security system would you be looking at here compared to here? And now I'm talking about the physical characteristics or the perceived characteristics. How would they be different? I would tell you that this one has got to look more expensive, look more reliable. Maybe it even has one or two additional cameras. Maybe it has an expert who comes out and supervises or checks your installation. But if you buy this one, you're on your own, partner. Good luck, okay? Maybe this one comes with a 3-year warranty. Maybe this one comes with a 6-month warranty. And so we're going to change whichever we do. So when I say which price would you choose, it's not simply a matter of how few can I sell. What are some of the other complications? If you're selling fewer units, you can typically give more customer service. I got a phone line, give me a call if you got any problems. I got a guy I'll send out there to check it over for you if you have any problems. I have fewer customers to deal with. Believe me, that'll reduce the hassles. It will also improve your possibilities of building a good relationship with that customer in terms of gaining referrals to neighbors about buying a system, and in terms of any other products or services you may want to sell down the road. So this kind of higher price strategy here has some built-in advantages that you lose when you go to more of a mass market.
Your overhead on that one's going to be larger too.
Your overhead's going to be larger here because you're just moving more volume. What I'm trying to do by this conversation is to say, we're doing a management course here. But from the management perspective, we got to be able to integrate in not just the financial calculations, the marketing issues that are at hand. We would want to be able to consider some of the economic aspects of going on. What do you think, given today's economy, what's today's economy like?
People don't spend as much money as they used to.
Why not?
They can't really afford to anymore.
Because since about 2008, we've had a recession and a recovery that's been very weak. Unemployment has been falling, but it is still uncomfortably high. The economy is gaining more jobs, more people are getting jobs, but many of those jobs are lower wages. And so in today's economy, would that tend to point you towards one price or the other? Which price?
The lower price.
The lower price? I don't know for sure. Maybe so. I guess what I'm trying to say with this very quickly is, while this is a management class, the problems we deal with and everything, we've got to be able to inform those problems from our own knowledge of all these different fields that we've got to study. We've got to be competent in. So far for problem one, any questions? It says next, discuss their profit levels at each price, assuming they sell twice as many units as they need to break even. Now, what does that mean?
It means we have to figure out,
If you sell $995 items, and instead of breaking even at 20, you sell 40, how much profit will you make? Well, we sell 40 of them. That's our total revenue, right? Does that look right? 39,800. You better check me on this. I get kind of fast and loose with my numbers up here.
Yes.
That's okay? This would be my sales revenue. I got to pay $11,000 in fixed costs, right? So I'm down to 28.8. And how much variable cost did I have? $214 a piece times 40 units, right?
8,560.
3560? 8560. $8,560 in variable costs. Oh boy, that's high math. Looks like $20,240 in profit. Does that seem right?
Yes.
Do you follow my logic of how I determine what that profit is? Let's do the same calculation at the $495 price. My break even was 54 units, so I'm going to sell them at $495.
I thought that I thought you subtract sales revenue from variable costs to get the contribution margin, and subtract fixed costs to get the profit.
I could subtract the variable cost first.
Okay.
Sure. It's, in accounting terms,
Yeah, I'm in.
when you take accounting, you'll find revenue minus cost of goods sold as your gross margin, same concept as contribution margin, and then we'd subtract the fixed cost.
Okay.
So, yeah, you're right. If we sell, what did you say, 108 of these things at $495 a piece, how much money did we bring in? $108 times $495.
53,460.
53,000? 414? Okay, y'all got to talk up. I can't hear very well.
53460.
Thank you. 53460. Too many years in tanks and shooting shotguns. Can't hear that well. Okay? That's my sales revenue. I've still got $11,000 in fixed costs, which leaves me 42,460. What's my variable costs?
8560.
214 apiece times 108 units.
23,112.
23,112. Boy, I didn't make this easy on myself. $19,000 profit. Okay? You follow my logic, that's all I'm really asking you. Does this give you any other indication towards which price would be better? I can make the same profit selling 40 units, but over here I'd have to sell 108 units. The theme continues in there. I can do better over here. Once I hit break even over here, what happens?
That's all.
Once I hit break even, the next one I sell for $9.95, less the $214, that $781 is all profit. When I pass break even, my profits grow faster here. I get to break even sooner.
Would there be a situation where you might want to sell more units? Like
Absolutely.
You want to have your units out more so you don't mind taking, having to sell
Take a
more in order to
smaller-
break even?
Smaller margin and working harder to break even. Why would I want to maximize the number of units I sell? Any
The more you
ideas?
sell, the more word of mouth you're gonna get, the more you
Good.
sell.
There's a strategy in marketing called penetration pricing. You introduce a new product, and if you price it too high, everybody copies it and starts taking away your market. So you come in and price it real low, flood the market, you got it locked up, which is good if you have something else to sell that market. If I'm going to come in after doing this and then I'm going to sell you, I don't know, whatever else it is I can sell you with a Sentry system. Yeah.
All right.
So the calculations are background to a lot more important considerations, sort of like you're alluding to. All right, anything else? Number one. Question number two is, you want to do number two next, or is there something else? Okay. We got a retirement home that's got a capacity of 100 residents. We got a variable cost of $450 a month per resident. And fixed costs of $5,750 per month. Well, 5,700, sorry. Okay so far? And then they plug in another line at you. Assuming they operate at 92% occupancy, what does that mean? That 92% of their rooms will be full or occupied on average. So they really have 92 rooms to play with. And then it wants to know, what do they have to do to make a profit of $8,000 per month? How would you start on it? What is it that we're trying to determine?
The price to
What
charge.
price they need to charge. P is price, that's the big unknown. What we need to know is their total revenue, their variable costs, their fixed costs, because they want their profit to be $8,000. You see my logic there? It's the same idea. How much am I going to bring in? How much am I going to pay out? Because I want $8,000 left at the end. How much revenue or sales revenue am I going to bring in? I'm going to sell 92 rooms on the average, and I'm going to charge P dollars, price dollars for them. I don't know what P is. That's my total revenue. You with that?
Would it be 450?
No, that's my revenue. What are my variable costs? 92 rooms times $450 each.
41,400.
Okay, 41,000, see if I'm not running out of room. 41,000, how many?
400.
400, okay. And I know my fixed costs, right? 5,700.
So your contribution margin would be 13,700.
Well, I don't want to call it contribution margin. What I want to know is this. Whatever I make has got to equal this,
Plus that.
plus this, plus this. You see that? All of my money that I bring in has got to cover my costs and make my profit. So now I can set it up in just one line. 92P, my revenue, is equal to 41.4 plus 57 plus 8,000. Take a look at that equation and see if that makes sense to you. This was what? Variable cost plus fixed cost plus profit.
Is it 8,000 or 8,100?
8,000 is desired profit.
That number, by the way, is 55,100. All those numbers added together.
All of this added up is 55,100. Thank you, I needed that help. So 92 times P has got to equal 55,100.
So you're gonna need to charge
So we divide by 92.
599.
Price equals how many?
Do you want us to round up?
Yeah, round up.
599.
$599.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Should we round up in that situation, or should we do like the point one?
Well, you could carry it out to a couple of pennies or whatever.
Yeah.
If I saw anywhere close to that on your exam, I'd say good.
Okay.
Okay so far? You see, I hope, are you seeing the logic? If you can understand the logic of what we're doing, all you have to do in the future, you dissect the problem and figure out where the parts are.
Do we have another one like that on here?
I don't know. I was, having a martini one night and made these up. There's no telling what I put on it.
You did a good job for her.
Well, the first couple went okay.
That was the first martini.
Yeah, before I got halfway down the thing. That last problem's going to be real bad. I want you to think about a couple of other things. This is the management perspective, okay? If you're actually in this position, what does this tell you? You got 8 rooms every month that aren't being used. Shame on you. I'm paying you big bucks to make all this salary and profits here working for me in my retirement home that I inherited because I never worked for anything in my life. What are you going to do with those 8 empty rooms? This is the creative side of management and marketing. You got 8. How?
10% off the first month.
Say again?
10% off the first month.
10% off the first month, maybe?
Friends and family plan.
Who do you suppose is going to be coming into your living facility on a regular basis? Friends and family. Are some of them going to be coming from out of state or from some distance? And if you got to know your residents well enough, you could rent them out at a very discounted cost relative to having to buy a motel room somewhere. You can incorporate a little charge in there for those guests to eat in your dining facility. And you could make this an incredibly positive family experience about which what? They would tell lots of people. Didn't we do the happy customer thing the other day? If you've got one unhappy customer, how many people does he tell?
Like more than we do.
3. Does he tell them the truth? He exaggerates. I got so screwed over at Home Depot the other day, let me tell you the story. And they're not bound by the truth. They exaggerate, understand? If they tell 3 people, what do those 3 people do? They each tell 2. Do they tell the truth?
No.
No, it's more fun to tell a story when it can sound extreme. And that by now, these 6 people all tell one person, and the stories they're telling are absolutely horrendous because they're not tied to the truth in any remote way. And so now, having offended one person, you have lost 16 potential customers who are out bad-mouthing you all the time. If you treat someone positively, how many people will they tell? Even if it's just the same ratio. Are you going to have any problem moving this thing up closer to 100% capacity? Not over time. One of the conflicts we have going on today in the United States is so many businesses are run and judged on how much profit did you make this month and for the quarter. They don't look more than 90 days out. How are you doing? Are you making more this month than last month? Are you making more the next month than that month? Are you constantly doing better? And with all that pressure, they focus on the short run. How do I cut my expenses? How do I cut my expenses? If you can focus on the long run and you can do these kind of things, selling those rooms at discounts, your long run will take care of itself. Customer service is still the key to a successful business. It's also the key, by the way, to a successful governmental agency or nonprofit. More on nonprofits here in a little bit. Again, management perspective for a minute. You come in and take over this job, what's one of the first things you want to know? How many people do we have? What's the first thing you're going to check every day when you come to work? How many residents do we have? And the first time you come in and you've only got 80 residents and that goes on for 2 weeks, what are you going to do?
Try and figure out what's going on.
Panic. You should panic. You should do something about it because it ain't getting any better. Then you're going to go through and say, where did all these costs come from? What is this $450 a month for every resident? How come that's in there? And you're going to go out and you're going to measure every single cost of providing for that resident. Every single one. How many paper towels did they use? And you're going to be trying real hard to bring that down. Then you're going to go to your fixed costs and say, how come we're paying that much? How much is my mortgage payment? Gee, is there a way to refinance it and bring it down? How much is my insurance cost for running, an ALF? A lot. Is there any other way we can restructure that? How many employees do I have? Do I need that many? And you're going to worry about all those kind of things. But none of that means anything if you don't have the parameters to measure how am I doing and how can I improve. So Mr. Hooper and his accounting class will drag you through some more of this. Just as other courses, marketing course will drag you through more of it, the finance course will drag you through more of it. I'm just trying to, hopefully, make you see the overall perspective. Okay, other questions, anybody? Anything in particular you want to look at?
Yeah,
Number 3 is a mortgage payment. I don't think that's too tough.
Let's do number 5.
Number 5 is the, quote, retirement problem. You had one of those on the midterm, and I promised you one on the final. Okay? So let's take a look here, see where I'm going. Good. Don is 33 years old. He's going to retire when he turns 67. He wants to draw $2,000 a month upon that retirement, and he expects to live life expectancy to 82. And he can earn, he believes, an average of 5% interest on his money each year, compounded. The question is, how much does he need to start saving each month, monthly saving, beginning today? And so you will need a financial calculator for that. Anybody remember how to get started?
It's a two-part problem.
It's a two-part problem. You got to work backwards. Go way out into the future when Don turns 67 and he's going to live till 82. What's got to be happening? Sorry?
Figure out how much money he needs.
He's going to want a payment to himself every month of $2,000. Every month. For how long?
15 years.
15 years. How many months is that? 15 times 12. He's going to want 180 payments, so that is the number of payments. He's not going to need all this money in the bank at once because he's only pulling out $2,000 a month. The rest of it stays in the bank and earns interest. It earns interest at what rate?
5%.
5%, but we're doing this on a monthly basis. So we've got to divide that by 12. And what do we want to calculate? Present value. At that point, in that present time, at that time, how much money does he need to have in the bank to do that? Anybody got an answer?
252,910.
252,910, plus or minus a penny or two. No big deal. Everybody tracking with me up to here so far? Any questions? Don't you sit there and make funny faces and laugh at me and not have any questions. Yeah, come on. That's what he needs when he turns 67, but he's only 33 today. So what's got to happen between today and when he turns 67? He's got to accumulate this much money. That the money he will need at age 67, since he's 33 today, now becomes the future value that he needs. 252,910. What's his interest rate? His interest rate, because he's going to do monthly payments, is the annual rate 5, again divided by 12. And how many months does he have to make payments in order to accumulate that? 34 years times 12 times a year.
408.
408 payments. And what do we want to calculate? His monthly payment. Calculate his payment. Zero will need some help.
236.56.
236.56. Anybody else confirm those numbers? You should know that we talked about this before class and decided to give you the wrong numbers to take home with you, so you better check it.
Well, I got 233, but is that?
That's close enough. There's a little rounding going on. 5 divided by 12 is not a smooth number.
Yeah.
How we doing? Questions, comments?
Can we do number 4 next so we're done with this?
Sure. When I see everybody looking comfortable, I'll erase this. We'll go on to number 4. All right? Number 4. You can have $6,000 today, or you can have $14,000 in 7 years. What interest rate would make these choices equal? It's just a funny way of asking you another time value of money problem. What are the elements to time value of money? Present value, future value, interest rate, and N. Remember? This is what you could have today, present value. This is what you could have in the future, future value. This is N. Calculate the interest rate.
That's simple.
But, make sure one of these two numbers is a negative. Yes,
Should we don't need to convert to 7 years, right?
No, I didn't, nothing in it said anything about monthly, so you can leave it on an annual basis. What do we got?
12.87.
12 0.87%. If you see how to do it, it's a gift.
Yeah.
If you can't see how to do it, it might as well be written in Greek. Now you see how to do it.
Is number 6 like number 2 where it's the two-part question? Not 2, number 5.
What number, is number 6 like number 5?
Yeah, is that the two-part?
I haven't even had a martini yet, and I couldn't follow that.
Sorry, I don't think I have either.
We will bring martinis to class.
On the exam?
I think not on exam day.
Well, after exam.
Unless you're gonna grade them on exam day, that's all I'm gonna have.
You are correct, number 6 is just like number 5.
Okay.
You're gonna need $1,000 a month for 4 years, and you've got 18 years to save it up.
Okay.
Good. Other comments, other questions? Thou shalt not say. Thou shalt not say, I'm not very good at math. Remember that? You are not allowed to say that as a manager.
What if you already did?
You go to work the next day and you go, I had a vision last night. Yes, sir.
2 things. Can we do number 3? I think we skipped it.
Mhm.
And are we going to be able to do the same thing we did on the last test, which was do the practice calculations, or the calculations first using our phone?
What we will do is do the other part first and then turn it in, and then you can get your phone out to do the calculations. Okay? And as for number 3, how do you set up a mortgage on the calculator? The key to that is to remember that the mortgage amount is the present value. Okay? So this is a $220,000 mortgage, so that's present value. Make it a negative. 30-year payoff is 30 times 12. 360 is in. It's 6.25%, but it's monthly, so we divide that by 12. That's IY, and we calculate the payment.
How many essay questions do we have on this exam since?
On the Caproni text, the essay
Because
questions?
there were a lot this time.
Yeah,
How many of them?
typically there's 4 to 6 questions on an exam.
Okay.
It's the same structure as the other one.
Very much the same structure. Say again?
Oh, I said 4 to 6, just
4
make
to
it 4.
My hand was gonna fall off last time. I had to stay there for a minute during this, and I just like shake my hand up. I'm like, okay, I can't write it anymore.
I'm getting all choked up. I wish you wouldn't do that. I'm feeling really bad.
I'm feeling your pain. I'm feeling your sincerity too.
Yeah, I never would do it. I always say if you can fake sincerity, you can make it anything you want to do.
Oh, I'm just stretching.
Okay, it's like an auction. You move, you bid. If you had one piece of advice for a student who's coming in new to take this course next term, what would that one piece of advice be?
Follow the schedule.
What do you mean follow the
I
schedule?
mean the course schedule.
What about it?
Like, I noticed after, like I read the first part of the syllabus, I didn't read the second part until later. You guys had the chapters laid out of each week of what to do. That way, I think that was kind of helpful for this path.
Anybody else? One piece of advice.
Don't try to do it alone.
Don't try to do it alone.
Join a study group because, like you said, not only is discussion good, but it's a lot less of a burden to prepare for the exams when you have people to help you.
I agree.
Because it is a lot of preparation, but I mean, it's easily, I got almost 100 on my last exam, so it's doable if you have the people that are there with you, pulling their own just as much as you are.
I think that study groups though, you gotta just, you can't get in too big of a study group. We had a small study group and I think that it was, I mean, not small, and there was 8, maybe this course was huge in the beginning. So what I'm saying, but we were all very equally committed. It was easier to count on each other. We very much were all accounted on. Everybody pulled their weight. Everybody, when you're in a big one, it's easier to get lost and not everybody wants to do everything. And maybe we just got fortunate too, I don't know.
Well, I think you did, because a lot of other groups had a negative experience. I mean, one went from 13 to 3.
Right.
Yeah, we went to 6.
We only lost 2
8 to 6.
overall from the beginning.
Yeah.
Only lost how many?
2 out of 8, so there's still 6 of us.
Let me know of any other issues. I will post an announcement being very clear on when and where for the exam. That's all I have. Anything else?
Okay.
Peace.